Dang, too bad Aniki hates cigarettes so much. Sorry, she's been pretty grumpy since last night. Please don't hold her against her. She wasn't there in episode 1? Okay, I mean... I don't have the intro stored that much in my head. I need a longer micro so I can actually like, lean back. That would be cool. Maybe we can just hold it like this. Because my neck kind of hurts from leaning forward all the time. Yeah, that works. But now the camera is off. Maybe like this. Okay. Rudolph and Hideyoshi went out onto the deck and took out some cigarettes. Eva had already hated the smell of cigarettes, but when she was in bad mood, she got even more sensitive to them. When they decided to smoke casually until they reached the island, the two of them had gotten yelled at and chased out onto the deck. Hideyoshi tried to use his lighter, but the strong winds gave him some trouble. I can imagine that. I mean, they're on a ship on the sea. I was on an island once in a clinic, and that sounds like I was for skin stuff. Anyway, often when I was taking a walk at the beach, the winds were so strong you couldn't even talk to somebody else. So it was pretty crazy. Just made me remember that when they mentioned his Zippo, his lighter problems here. It wasn't all the time. Like, often enough, the weather was really great and we could swim in the ocean and all that. But sometimes when it was windy, it was often so windy that you couldn't even talk to somebody else. It was crazy. Anyway, Rudolph took out a Zippo with a smooth gesture and let Hideyoshi borrow the flame. When did you start smoking cigarettes, Hideyoshi-ni-san? Just after the war. In the beginning I was rolling them. Then I started using what I sold. Using what I sold? So you were already smoking when you met Aniki? Bet she's always telling you to stop. I never listened to her, so she's already completely given up on that. Huh. Well, men gotta be stubborn in times like these. Hideyoshi laughed heartily, but Rudolph snickered. After being scolded by Eva, they had escaped to the deck together with their tails between their legs. There was little doubt who had gone her way in that exchange. She isn't usually so short-tempered. In fact, she's usually a more gentle, quiet woman. Every year she changes when this day comes. Is that so? To me she looks just like the Aniki we've all known so long. That's just it. She's back to being Eva of the Yoshidomiya family. But that ain't the Eva I know. Well, I know why she's grumpy. This family conference is gonna be a pain. So, in episode 2, we got a lot of stuff about Rosa, and then Rosa ended up carrying the rifle. Trying something out. No, that does work. So, I'm wondering if the fact that we have this stuff about Eva now, maybe it means that she's gonna end up as the next rifle-wielding main character. Well, not main character, but like, you know what I mean. The one who survives while all the other siblings die. Got that right. There's the plan to threaten money out of Klaus Nissan. We may call it a family conference, but it's gonna be just a sibling fight at this rate. Before the family conference, 3 of the siblings had made a secret pact without Klaus. They were all facing urgent situations that needed a lot of money fast, and the only one they could turn to was Klaus, who spoke for the Yoshidomiya head now that Kinzo spent his time shut up in his study. For a long time now, they had vaguely sensed that Klaus was taking advantage of the fact that Kinzo had lost interest in his own wealth, and they suspected that he had started embezzling that wealth to suit his own purposes. Yeah, maybe. I mean, but fair enough. To be fair, she has already been an asshole in the other episodes. Quite a lot. Despite being disgusted by this, they had turned a blind eye to it while everything was still going smoothly for them. But now that they needed money, they really couldn't afford to let it slide. Eva had asked Rudolph and Rosa to form an alliance, and they were now scheming to take that money away from Klaus. Yeah, that didn't turn out so well last time. Rudolf-kun, both you and I are company presidents. We're responsible for the livelihood of our employees. Rose as a president too, well as a hobby. That's right, sorry. Basically, we've all got responsibilities. Now that I've thrown down the gauntlet in front of the executive board, I've got to bring in the money, even if it means getting down on my knees and drinking mud. Same here. I can't betray the employees who've trusted me and followed me for so long. That's why I need to get some money out of Klaus Nissan, even if I have to grab him by the neck. Aniki and Aniki have always been at each other's throats, and now she's going to challenge Aniki head on. It's no wonder she's on edge. So Eva really has had a bad relationship with Klaus Nissan since long ago. Hasn't she talked about it? They were always at each other's throats. She never talks about the past, even if I ask. She probably doesn't want to remember. She's always been brainy and shrewd. Her grades were good too. Compared to that, Aniki was just average. The simple fact she existed would have been pressure enough, but she kept boasting about it and driving him into a corner. That fool. Why drive him into a corner so openly? I'd hardly call that shrewd. No kidding. Aniki regretted being born a woman, so she probably couldn't forgive Aniki since he was chosen to succeed the head just because he was a man. She'd always boast to Dad, letting him see that she was better at every little thing. Father really is an old-fashioned person. Gender discrimination was part of his system of values. I'll bet Ava's eagerness to prove herself made him dislike her a bit. You know, just something I realized. So the girl at the beginning, who was referred to as Princess, talked about a scary grandfather. Does that mean the girl that became Beatrice was originally part of the Yoshidomiya family, or was it just a different family with a different scary grandfather? Again, don't answer that. I'm just throwing my thoughts out there. Wouldn't you say schooling for women is like sugar and black tea? The taste is dull and flat without it, but too much ruins the whole thing. Not sure who's talking. Since you can still drink black tea without sugar, he was in fact saying that there was no need for women to study. Oh, that's probably Klaus then, or Kinzo. Those infuriating words were what Nissan hurled at me in my despair, when I asked to go to college only to be denied by father. I protested that I needed to build up proper dignity and an education as the oldest daughter in the Yoshidomiya family, making college an essential next step. Yeah, I think it's, Eva. But when it came down to it, father's and Nissan's answers were exactly the same. How conceited for a woman. I've never taken the Yoshidomiya name lightly, not once since I was born into it, and I've been even more careful not to take my father's name, Yoshidomiya Kinzo, lightly. Our family is an old one with many traditions, but it lost its wealth and businesses in the Great Kanto earthquake, pushing it to the brink at one point. That was when father took control, which, with his ingenious talent, reviving it to be even greater than it had been before. Not once did I forget that I was the daughter of that great Yoshidomiya Kinzo. That's why I always made every effort to become worthy of that name. I needed dignity worthy of the Yoshidomiya family, schooling, manners, and leadership, and being an ass to my younger sister. Even if I couldn't quite reach father's level, I deepened my knowledge in economics and finance, trying to improve myself so I could be of use to him at any time. However, in the end, father never acknowledged my efforts. Well, that is quite sad. Man, why am I so thirsty today? Didn't eat anything that salty. My tea is almost empty already. To father, a woman was only meant to support a man. Nothing further than that was permissible. When was it that I came to understand that? It may have been as early as my childhood years, but I was going to have to wait until I grew up before I could truly accept it. You just should not accept it at all. Compared to me, you couldn't have said that Clouds, my older brother of 2 years, worked hard at all to become deserving of the Yoshidomiya family name. He told me many times since my early childhood that he would naturally succeed father simply because he was born a man. What a douche. I mean, not a douche for being born a man, but a douche for rubbing it into her face. He kept on repeating that as though it formed an uncrossable gap between us.
I'm a total idiot and you're a genius, but I'm a man, so fuck you.
That's kind of what that sounds like. I couldn't stand it, even though I always got better grades than Nissan, even though I became class president when he never managed more than vice president. Even so, Nissan was considered to be the appropriate successor to the Yoshidomiya family just because he was a man. Maybe Beatrice made you salty. Yeah. Of course, he could find gender discrimination everywhere in those days. No, it was even considered a virtue in that era. During that despicable time, people said that when a woman is born, she obeys her parents. When she gets married, she obeys her husband. And when she gets old, she obeys her children. Oh, doesn't that sound like a fun life? I could totally not wait to live that. /S. But that was exactly why I wanted to turn that on its head. Innocently, I kept trying to prove that I was the most fit. However, I eventually realized that all of my efforts had been doomed from the beginning.
When they say schooling for women is like sugar and black tea, the taste is dull and flat without it, but too much ruins the whole thing.
What do you mean by that, Nissan?
Just as there are roles that only men can fill, there are also roles that can only be filled by women, correct? I do believe giving birth to children, raising them, and supporting the master of the house are roles that can only be filled by women.
Are you trying to say there's no need for a woman to work or study?
I wouldn't go that far. Talking to an unschooled woman is tiring and nothing more. However, women are even more tiring when they're too smart.
What an ass.
I do believe that a woman as violating herself as you would bring no need of hardship and no end of hardship to her future husband.
Are you trying to say that a woman has to marry and hide in the shadow of her husband? That's none of your business.
Though you're my younger sister, I could look up to you for the respect you hold for father and your desire to become a daughter worthy of him.
Echter Sympathieträger, yeah.
Even I am capable of feeling respect for such noble sentiments.
Yeah, I don't buy it. That's just disgusting. What's this about noble sentiments? I'd call that flowery prose coming from you. Are you pretending to be the head already?
The decision that I should succeed the headship has been established from the very beginning. And yet, you seem to be laboring under the illusion that you might become the head, hence the useless and reckless efforts you've expended thus far.
Reckless efforts? F you. Is it really that bizarre for me to say I want to go to college?
Yes, it is bizarre. You undoubtedly are the oldest daughter of the glorious Yoshidomiya family. One day you will support that family crest by being wed to the partner most valuable father. However, excessive learning is not what's being asked of you. What you need are gentle feelings that will allow you to care for your husband, the ability to handle housework, and a humble demeanor that will reflect well on the master of your household. These are all skills you lack utterly.
I think that's about time now to kick him in the nuts. Twice.
In the end, can you really call yourself a suitable daughter of the Yoshidomiya family?
I have no intention of being some secluded lady. I just want to become the person most capable of assisting father at his work.
Then shouldn't you do so in a manner befitting an Yoshidomiya family daughter? What is it with you? You're still mannish, even at your age, and you've never learned how to wear makeup in a way that will please men, much less how to cook and do housework.
That's 2 or 3 more kicks.
I hear you've even been learning how to brawl.
What? Eva has been learning how to brawl? That's kinda kick-ass. I don't see what's to complain about that. That's rude. The martial arts aren't brawling. They're a perfect way to train and discipline the mind. And when it's needed, I take more than enough care to act as a woman should. What are you trying to say? That women should be slaves who work for men, so I mustn't be so forward?
It isn't elegant to say it out loud, but I think a few unpleasant words are necessary in order to correct your mistake. So let me say it plainly.
I knew it.
Women exist to serve men, and men exist to provide for women. A woman's job is to protect a man's back, to protect his house and raise his children. Most women realize this without being told. They realize it on their own. But even after all these years, you still haven't realized that about yourself. Selfish, I need to clear away that misunderstanding for you before you leave this family. You ought to thank me.
This is an insult to all women. No, wait, I have never thought of myself as a woman, and I've never depended on anyone because I'm a woman. How am I inferior to you, Nissan? In grades and accomplishments and everything, I'm better. So how can you look down on me when you have nothing I lack except the fact that you're a man?
It's about knowing one's place.
Yeah, so in that case, your place is squirming on the ground because I just kick you in the nuts.
Every day I've been raised with the readiness of one who will be head. In the future, that preparation will surely become essential. But you were different. Even though you were married and lose the Yoshinomiya family name, you're being trapped by this unnecessary illusion.
What's your complaint? Even if you had been born a man...
Even if you had been born a man, the successor to their headship still probably wouldn't have been you. Why are you so unsatisfied that you insist on attacking me even now?
What's my complaint, you say? Nissan, you're always like that. Looking down on me because you'll succeed the head. Even though... What's my complaint, you say? I've got a billion of them. Grudges, hard feelings, humiliations that I'll never forget kept floating through the back of my mind. They all built up at the same time, coming out of my throat as a shameful moan. Uh-oh. That's a rare sight. Seeing him somewhere else.
What's all this noise? God isn't the only one who holds silence as a virtue.
Father. He had probably overheard our sibling fight. Father entered with a clearly unhappy face.
Klaus, are you fighting with your siblings again? Why don't you have the dignity to act as a leader for your brothers and sisters?
Brother and sisters.
How shameful. I'm embarrassed to hear this from my eldest son.
In a flash, he struck Klaus's face. Damn, I hope he knocked him out cold. I readied myself to be struck in the same way, but I wasn't hit. My apologies, Father. Who's he talking to? Klaus, I guess.
Dignity isn't the only thing you lack. There's much more. You're immature in everything, and even so, you pretend like you're an adult. Realize that it's 100 years too early for you to talk like that, and devote yourself to your studies. Don't make me lament my son's incompetence anymore. Yes, I will continue to strive so that I can become a person worthy of succeeding your father.
It was as if those words were directed at me. Even when he was being yelled at by Father, he was still bragging to me about how he was special, about how he was the successor. I just couldn't stand it, and finally spoke what was on my mind. Uh-oh. I see slapping runs in the family. Yeah. Even though I realized that it would be improper for a member of the Shiromiya family to do such a thing. Father, please tell me how I am inferior to him. I've tried so hard, studied so hard to become a person who won't bring shame to your name. Please tell me how I am inferior. How can I improve myself enough to earn your acknowledgement?
That again? How many times do I have to say it before you'll understand? I expect nothing from you. Women should be women and just learn how to cook and sew.
Damn, I see where Klaus got it from.
You aren't prepared at all as a woman. In you I don't see a trace of the mindset needed to serve one's husband, to earnestly devote oneself to a man's needs. What good are you as a woman? Don't you realize that you're a daughter of the Shiromiya family? And yet you only want to learn things so that you can act like a man. Your duty is not to imitate Klaus. Don't you ever understand your own duty?
As the member of the Shiromiya family, I won't bring shame to your name.
That's it. That's where you're already wrong. Your duty is to marry out of the family and bring me a man who is profitable to me. And then you will devote yourself to your husband, give birth to children, and multiply.
Don't see how doing math is gonna help, but okay.
Be a good wife who brings praise to your husband's family.
Just what is it that you can do to please a man? Oh, I think that's still him.
Just what is it that you can do to please a man? Do you think you can make tea? Do you have any talent in cooking? You have nothing. All you've done is to try and mimic Klaus, haven't you? Klaus will succeed the Yoshinomiya family. If you are unsatisfied with that, then you are disobeying me.
Are you saying you'll refuse to listen to what I say, even though you're my... Oh, come on. Can you show the sprites again so I know who's talking?
Are you saying you refuse to listen to what I say, even though you're my daughter? Get out. You disinherit...
What? You just disinherited her? That's a bit extreme. Okay. That will be the time a normal person tells herself to fuck this shit and move out? Indeed. I absolutely agree.
I will let you call yourself an Yoshinomiya. Disinherited. Disinherited. Oh, Beatrice.
Is he gonna start that again?
Father, hang in there. Please calm down.
Genji-san, could you bring some water?
Yes, immediately.
If I leave this place, he doesn't mean what he says. I will calm him down. Disinherited. If you won't listen to me, you're disinherited. Beatrice.
Father was coughing pretty badly, and Nissan patted his back, as if it was a duty that was naturally his. It was so vexing for me to let him take that duty all for himself right then. If I carelessly approached Father at that moment, then I would probably be the one to get hit next. However, I fearlessly tried to approach Father's back. Genji blocked me. Huh? He knows Kenzo best, I guess.
Eva-sama, perhaps it would be better if you stepped outside for now. The master is not in a good mood today. But...
When is he ever in a good mood, though? I gotta ask.
Why, all my children so incompetent. Klaus is lacking in dignity. Eva is always a stubborn tomboy. I have no son who's like a man, and not even a daughter who's like a woman.
That's gonna be great to hear for Klaus, right? Right while he's present.
Where did I go wrong raising them? Why, Genji, when and where did I go wrong?
Master, you haven't done anything wrong. Klaus-sama has grown into a sturdy son, and Eva-sama into a lovely daughter. You haven't made any mistakes.
How can you say that? What's so lovely about her? Far from a lady, she's always acting like a man. Disinherited. Disinherited. Father, that's just what I'm always telling Eva. Eva has promised that she will have a change of heart and act like a lady. Couldn't you postpone that decision for just a little longer? Who's the lady?
Well, Genji sure is.
Disinherited, disinherited. Go quickly and leave this to me.
Oh no, go quickly and leave this to me. Klaus gave me a look telling me that. Did I take the wrong path? Just like Father and Isan said. True, I never studied how to be a lady. Everything I've learned was done in the hopes that I could help Father someday. But is that really true? Haven't I always been trying to compete with Nissan, with whom I've had a bad relationship since I was a young girl? Because I wanted to steal his... There's a 2 missing again, right? Because I wanted to steal his position as successor and show him a thing or two? Every chance he gets, Nissan tells me that men should be manly and women should be womanly. I've been tormented by this unfair discrimination just because of my gender, something people are born with and cannot do anything about. I resisted, endeavoring to this very day to study and prove that I'm not inferior, despite being a woman. But doesn't that mean my love of learning comes entirely from a stupid complex I've got against Nissan? I guess. Father wanted me to become a lady with whom he could go out in public and not be embarrassed. Did I betray his hopes, earning good grades and threatening Nissan just to satisfy a childhood resentment? Man, such a great family. Huh? Who's that? Is that young Eva? Or is that Rosa or somebody? That's not it. You swore to me saying I will become the successor to the Yoshinomiya family. You. Oh, so it is herself. Or she, when she still actually looked cute, I guess. Not like she did way too much cocaine. The one whispering to me was the me of my years as a young girl, born inside my heart on the day I made that oath. That's right. She was my only ally.
When things got difficult, when I felt like I was about to get crushed by it all, she would always quietly appear and support me. Ba-da-bum! When I ran into roadblocks and despaired, she would always appear and support me. When I grew up and the memories of my childhood years faded, I also started to forget my conversations with her. I, Ushiromiya Eva, will definitely become the head of the Ushiromiya family, and I'll triumph over that irritating, arrogant Klaus. On that day, we promised to do our best together to achieve that. That's right, we promised. On that day, I promised that I would become the successor to the Ushiromiya headship. You mean there is a thing called gender operation, sex change? That would... Yeah, I don't think Kinzo would accept anything like that. Anyway, also you shouldn't change your gender just because other people expect it from you. Or expect only the other gender to be capable. On that day, when I had been overcome with sadness, wondering why I was even alive, you appeared from inside me and lent me your strength. Father didn't accept me. I wanted to teach Nissan a lesson, and believed that doing this would let me say goodbye to the wretched creature I once was. For a time I truly believed that my life had no purpose other than to be looked down upon by Nissan. It's painful just remembering those days. They're a wound, a crack inside my heart. She taught me how to sew up that wound. I turned my anger into effort and improved myself, trying to become a person more worthy of their headship than Klaus was, trying to triumph over him by making Father accept me. It was my perfect revenge. Do you have a sprite of her in the PS3 version? Because I think she looks pretty cool here. I was vaguely aware that a woman couldn't possibly become the family head. But I thought that maybe if I could prove myself valuable enough to overturn that premise, then surely even Father would select me to be his successor. If that happened, then I'd be able to have the greatest and most perfect revenge against Nissan. Sorry. Had a cat conversation. Okay, she looks pretty cool too. I just remembered that in Xenogears, Nissan is a little city. So having her perfect revenge against Nissan just made me imagine her invading the entirety of Nissan all alone. Anyway, if that happened, then I'd be able to have the greatest and most perfect revenge against Nissan, who always acted like his succession to the headship was completely inevitable. That's right. If we can manage that, the wounds in our heart will be healed. We promised each other to do our best until that day comes. And now you're saying you're gonna break that promise? Scum. Coward. If only you just give up and die. Hey, come on. Even though she looked like me as a kid, she was still another me. Her tongue was sharp because it was mine. It makes me pretty mad hearing that even from myself. You have no right to speak of me like that. Then let's use that anger to fuel our learning. Changing anger into power is my magic. I've saved you from a bunch of tight spots with that power, letting you succeed when you shouldn't have. As long as you have my magic, there's nothing you can't do. We're talking about magic again now. That's right. Anger has always been my driving force. I wonder when it was I forgot that. If you can remember me again, that magic will become ours once more. Come on, let's turn that anger into power and study even harder, okay? I know we've still got a lot to learn. Let's go to college, study more and more, get excellent grades, and drive Klaus into a corner. That guy acts like we're nothing, but I'm sure he feels pretty well cornered in the inside. If only he'd just learn his place and die. I thought you would say something like, if only he'd just learn his place and, I don't know, leave us the fuck alone, but I guess die works too. If he did, we could become the head. Rudolph won't take the job. That kid can't go against us. Stop that. No matter how much more I study, Father still won't accept me. Check the Japanese, sure. Hold on. Yeah, she says that. Interesting. Okay, stop that. No matter how much more I study, Father still won't accept me. Why not? Father told me to be womanly, because I'm a woman. No matter how hard I tried, Father wouldn't have passed the headship on to me. Even if I had been born before Nissan, no matter how much effort I put in, I cannot become anything more than a woman. I won't be acknowledged. Nissan doesn't try at all, but I can't surpass him. He looked down on me forever. Which is especially irritating since he doesn't try at all. Like, if he was at least better than her at everything. Wenn jetzt Kin so aus dem Fenster guckt und sieht, wie die hier mit dem Blumenbeet spricht. I don't know, he would probably welcome her into his arms if he saw her talking to the flowers all by herself. He would be like, finally somebody as insane as me! But anyway, as I was saying, what I find especially irritating about this situation, I totally understand her frustration, is how he isn't even better. Like, he just doesn't try at all and just probably smirks at her all the time, like, oh, I'm gonna be the head anyway, I don't have to try. I can totally understand how that would horribly frustrate you and be absolutely vexing and jarring and all that. He looked down on me forever. Father and Klaus are the worst kind of male supremacists. If only they'd just die. She cursed them for my sake. Words that I couldn't say so easily, she said for me. Even though I understand that she's just another part of myself on that side of me. I feel like she's the only ally I have who can sympathize with me. However, while sympathy might do a lot to calm my heart, it won't do anything to improve my current situation. Well, I mean, you can, however, improve your current situation much better with a calm heart, so in the long run, I suppose you could say it does improve your current situation. Or it does improve your ability to improve it. In the end, she can only console me for however long it takes me to be dejected by reality before I finally accept it. Thank you. You've done enough. Now that it's come to this, I'll become such a good lady that it will even shock even father. I'll find an excellent man that Nissan cannot even compare to. Well, that's not hard. You cannot do that. She rejected my timid thoughts. I understand. Because she is me, I understand. All father said was that he won't let a woman succeed the headship now. But even that's just a rule father made up. Since he made it, he can get rid of it. Human feelings can change far more often than the number of sand grains on a beach. Klaus is such a stupid man that father's eventually gonna realize it, even if we don't prove it for him. When that happens, the wall that separates man from woman will be demolished by father himself, who set it up in the first place. That day will surely come. Yeah, I mean, we've also seen that Klaus is not really the brightest tool in the shed, or at least the most successful one, because we had more than enough scenes where it was made clear that all his businesses are rather, well, are not all that successful. So, once Kenzo notices that, he might indeed be like, dude, you're an idiot. I don't want you anymore. How can you be so sure? Because that's my magic. If you just believe, this magic will surely summon a miracle. The basis of my magic is nothing more than your believing heart. If I use this magic, then surely I'll never have to doubt until the day I die that I'll eventually become the head. But I don't know if that's the right thing for Yushiru Miyaeva. Maybe I should aim to become the kind of lady father wants, someone who can proudly participate in high society. And if I'm reborn, maybe father will change his opinion of me. Maybe I can find my own lifestyle, just as Nissan has found his. And anyway, I just can't imagine my stubborn father choosing a woman like me as the head, especially if it means skipping over Klaus. I don't know, once he realizes how stupid Klaus is. As I said, you don't believe? I was just thinking, maybe I cannot succeed the headship, but as a woman I can have a child. And Nissan still isn't engaged. If Nissan isn't able to father a child and I gave birth to one, then wouldn't that make my child the next head after Nissan? In other words, wouldn't that mean the same thing as stealing the headship from Nissan? Are you serious? Yes, I am serious. True, it'll be very sad to abandon the resolve I've had since childhood. It pains my heart to betray you, my younger self, but this is my most realistic option. Are you throwing away your dreams? And me as well? I'm not throwing away anything away. I'm an adult, and the day has come for me to part ways with you. That's right. Eva's already become an adult. She's even forgotten how to use magic. And now she's the mother of a single child. She forgot all about how magic can grant one's own dreams, and now she's forcing those dreams into her son.
A son who then wants to marry a servant.
Even though father and Klaus ruined your life, you're trying to push your dreams onto your son, ruining his life. Is that what you call being an adult? George is a son I'm proud of, one who won't embarrass himself no matter where he goes. The dream I wasn't granted might come true for George. Jessica is a delinquent in both her grades and her behavior. And she's a woman. If only Jessica would step down, George would become the heir. Even saying it was painful. Am I just forcing my own regrets onto George? It's not like I have anything right to look on Jessica with scorn. It's not like I have any right to look on Jessica with scorn. Wasn't I just horrible for hitting her with the same words that had caused me so much suffering? I understand. The desire to triumph over my brother is part of my own personal revenge. I can't use George for that. So I'll take revenge myself. I have a plan to cheat Nissan out of some of his money, with Rudolph and Rosa as my allies. I'll surely be able to get back at him. In any case, I'm sure that Nissan is embezzling father's assets. What a boring plan. Why didn't you just give up on that and cry yourself to sleep? We will become the Ushiromiya family head. Don't mistake what your dream is. And believe me when I say it'll definitely come true. Believe in my magic.
Maybe it's actually not the copy of herself that she created in her head. Maybe it's Beatrice appearing as that copy, trying to tempt her.
Don't answer that either.
If I believe, I wonder if any power will dwell in that magic. It will. My magic can grant any wish with certainty. I'll believe. I believe, so create a miracle with that magic. If you don't, the hole in my heart will never heal. Okay, then listen well. Listen to my magic words.
I'm telling you, this is Beatrice.
And understand, if we can solve the riddle, we can become the Ushiromiya family head. So lend me your ears and listen carefully.
Or maybe it's not Beatrice. Oh, I have no idea, man. Behold the Sweetfish River running through my beloved hometown. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. Oh, I see.
Eva Nissan, it looks like we're about to arrive.
When Kiria shook her shoulders, Eva jumped and awoke from her doze.
I'm sorry. I was half asleep. Sorry to scare you.
Aunt Eva, you were out cold. Did you get up early this morning?
Maybe. I'll let you all see something embarrassing. I'm sorry. Well, I'd say it's pretty impressive you were relaxed enough to sleep. Bella kept yelling we're gonna fall, we're gonna drown. Can't get bored with this guy around.
Shut up. All humans have at least one thing they're weak against.
Bella and Jessica came in, messing around.
Rudolph also made a face as if asking, are you okay?
Are you okay? Get a hold of yourself. When you see Dad and the rest, all that sleepiness will go right out the window. Let's all give it our best, okay?
That's right. We have to keep it together, especially this year.
That's it. Let's all tighten our assholes and go.
Well, that's a nice way of saying that. Rudolph said these strict words in a small voice that only Eva could hear. Failure would not be tolerated in this year's family conference. All of their companies were hanging in the balance. Even Rudolph's face looked a little tense. Eva's expression probably looked tense as well.
Mom, I have our luggage. Let's go up onto the deck. Thank you. You really are considerate, George. Why are you thanking me so suddenly? It's not like you, Mother.
Eva, George, we're there. Grab our luggage.
Oh, we're there. Hey, Maria, stop running or you'll trip.
It seemed Maria was already getting excited. She ran circles around Hideyoshi, escaping from Rosa, who was trying to catch her.
What is it, Mother? Do you feel sick?
George, take our luggage and go on ahead. Your mother's probably feeling anemic, so I'll lend her a hand.
Really? Okay, I'll head out first.
Something odd in Eva's expression told Hideyoshi that it hadn't been a pleasant awakening, so he made George go on ahead. Rudolph's family and Rosa's family also went up onto the deck, leaving only Eva and Hideyoshi inside the boat. Eva had a vague expression on her face, as though she still hadn't been able to escape from her daydream.
What's wrong? Why the meek face?
I wonder if I'm using George as a tool for my own revenge. I wonder if my childish hostility towards Nissan has caused me to treat that child's life like a toy. What have I done? What have I...
That isn't true. George is our wonderful son, and he'll always perform admirably wherever he goes. Even if you let your own hopes get in the way a bit, everything turned out okay in the end, hasn't it? You haven't done anything wrong. In fact, George is grateful for the strict discipline you gave him, right?
Really? Hey, really? George doesn't think I'm a terrible mother, does he? Does he?
He's never said anything like that, not even once. You're just worrying too much.
Hideyoshi-sama,
It's her again.
everyone has left the boat. Oh, did you lose something? Do you need a hand or a mackerel?
Kumasawa had come to check on them when they hadn't gone up to the deck. Hideyoshi had hid Eva behind his back so that her expression wouldn't be seen.
Yeah, sorry. My necktie pin just got a bit crooked. We're fine, and we'll be out in a sec. Wait outside for us.
Is that so? Ho, then I will wait outside.
Even though she didn't really understand, Kumasawa realized that something had come up and disappeared so that she didn't trouble them further. If they stayed here any longer, they would probably make everyone else worry too.
It's about time to go. We'll make George and the rest worry.
George really doesn't despise me? Imagine she pretends to extend her hand and then you just grab a wet fish. Oh man, not a pleasant thought.
Yeah, nothing of the sort. In fact, he's very grateful. Did you have a nightmare? Again?
Yes. Hideyoshi knew that Eva was often tormented by nightmares, and they always grew more marked on the days leading up to the family conference. Hideyoshi knew that Eva's relationship with Klaus was still full of antagonism to the point of being traumatic, and that she still couldn't let go of the feelings she had had as a child.
That was a dream. I'm with you now. If I grasp your hand like this, the dream go away. Right. Look, I'm holding tight.
That hurts. Thank you. I'm fine now. Let's get off the boat.
Yeah, let's get off the boat. Everyone's waiting for us.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
I'm sorry that I yelled at you about the smoke from your cigarettes just now.
Come on, you normally wouldn't apologize for that sort of thing. You're all frail after having that dream. Don't worry about it. I was wrong for not realizing that the smoke was affecting you.
Have you started to hate me? What the hell? Where does that come from?
No way, no way. If I hated you after something like that, we wouldn't have lasted 3 days. Come on, stand up. Stand up. Let's get off the boat.
Oh, it's Gouda. Gouda.
Hideyoshi-sama, Eva-sama, is everything all right? Are you not feeling well?
This time it was Gouda. It looked like they had kept everyone waiting too long after all. Even Eva had to stand up without grumbling now. She had to stop forcing her bad mood onto her husband and causing many more trouble, because that wasn't something a good wife would do.
Is everything okay? If it's a matter concerning your health, shall I call Dr. Nanjo?
Thanks, but I'm just feeling a little anemic. I'm fine now.
It's a woman's disease. Don't worry about it.
Come on, don't say stuff like that in front of people. It's embarrassing.
Oh, sorry.
Eva elbowed Hideyoshi in the gut. By that time her normal expression had returned, which allowed Hideyoshi to relax a little. The bright sunlight outside almost made her dizzy. A small plank for getting off the boat was lowered, and Gouda was waiting there, smiling and ready to lend them a hand.
Please, Eva-sama, your hand.
Thank you.
Welcome to Rokkenjima.
Welcome back. When she left the boat, it seemed to Eva as though she had heard the voice of her young self. No, it hadn't seemed that way. Someone had told her welcome back. After becoming a shameless adult, the voice of her young self was distant. What am I living for? What can I do to release myself from this obsession? Hideyoshi heard her talking to herself. When Hideyoshi held on tightly to Eva's shoulders, his firmness alone told her that there was no need to say any more. Maybe it was because the typhoon was getting closer. The lively cries of the seagulls, which usually greeted them when they arrived, couldn't be heard at all. This music is still very beautiful. I mean, the whole soundtrack is full of great songs. So you'll probably hear me say that a lot. 2 o'clock already. Look, it's clouds. Yay! And the blue ocean. And now it's like, now you see Nagito standing over you. Are you awake? No, wrong game. What, you mean 6 years ago? I mean, I was still in elementary school back then, right? It's pretty unfair to expect me to remember everything, don't you think? True. Especially because we were so young. We've grown a lot in these 6 years. If I hadn't been introduced, I might not even have remembered you. Oh, that's harsh. Oop, oop, oop. Really? I figured he was Battler right away. And when he opened his mouth, I was sure. Ooh, I just met him for the first time. Didn't know him 6 years ago. That's right. Maria-sama was only 3 years old then. Well, the same goes for me. I only knew Maria when she was 3 years old, and since she's grown so big, of course I wouldn't recognize her. After lunch, we had all gone out to the beach to walk around, talk, and take it easy. Is it that scene again where they actually talk about the riddle? Just wondering. Our parents were apparently having a suspicious, complicated discussion, so we ended up leaving them behind. Well, just as I guessed from the start, the conversation focused on me since I'd been away for 6 years. Still, you've really gotten tall. I wouldn't call myself short, but your height really surprised me. That's right. I remember well what Battler-sama was like 6 years ago, but I was surprised even so. Yeah, seriously, I can hardly believe this is the same Battler we knew back then. I'm surprised how much everyone remembers about it. My memory is all hazy. Yeah, I'll bet. Looks like it's taking you a while to remember us. You know, that hurts a bit. Come on, this was 6 years ago, right? I'm the one who has it bad, being forced to remember. Are you saying that you cannot remember well because it was 6 years ago? I can remember it as clearly as if it happened yesterday. Well, your memory is great after all. Look how close he's standing to her. Ooh la la. You remember the kind of things Battler did and said back then pretty clearly, don't you? Come to think of it, that's right. Shannon's memory can be incredible when you least expect it. Oh, I'm horrible at remembering. I remember fun things, but can't remember boring things at all. Ooh. We all laughed, saying that everyone was like that. Shannon, by the way, what was Battler like 6 years ago? Remember any interesting episodes? Let's see. I'm sure that he said something like this when he left. Oh no. Is it going to be some creepy Battler line again? I mean, he has proved to say some pretty inappropriate stuff before. I'll be back. See you again. I surely come for you riding a white horse. Why would he say that? Stop it, so embarrassing. Sounds just like something you'd say. Yeah, I remember you always used to be full of those stupid lines, Battler. It really does sound like something Battler would have said back then. Oh, embarrassing. Is that embarrassing? Yeah, horribly embarrassing. Maria, I'm sure that when you're in middle school, you'll want to say embarrassing stuff like that. When that happens, make sure you write it down and read it 3 times before saying it out loud. If you don't, you'll definitely regret it. Chunibyo Battler. Yeah, still everyone has to pass through that pitiful period. That's right, that's how you'll learn your place, learn shame, and become an adult. Yeah, it's one of those bittersweet things everyone does in adolescence as they transition to becoming adults, a memory you just want to forget. After all, this was all stuff I'd let slip out without thinking, so I didn't remember the words exactly. But now that those words were being recited to me, they were as embarrassing as all hell. I only recently came to understand this weakness, and I was working hard to avoid such careless outbursts. But I guess I was just born with the habit of speaking without thinking, and there's nothing I can do about it. Shannon, do you remember any other embarrassing stuff? Yes, well, I remember a few other things, but since it looks like the person in question wants to forget them, I think I'll refrain from saying any more.
To be brutally honest, I don't remember this at all. Please don't make me remember.
Shannon's bullying Battler. You can't. You shouldn't be bullying people.
Huh, she's really bullying him. Let's leave it at that, okay? But Shannon, you'll have to tell me all about it sometime Battler isn't around. Sounds pretty interesting.
Yes, certainly.
No, you can't, Shannon-chan. For a while, George Aniki laughed at me as though warming up for when Shannon-chan would tell him about more of my embarrassing misspeaks. George looked like he was flirting with Shannon, but he seemed somewhat open and frank about it. He was always that way with his cousins, but he usually took on a reserved, gentlemanly attitude when he came in contact with the servants. When I thought about it, I got the feeling he was being a bit overly friendly, which seemed strange. Maria started scribbling in the sand with a stick, and George Aniki and Shannon-chan joined in. This left me and Jessica off to the side, so I asked her secretly, "Hey Jessica, is George Aniki, going out with Shannon-chan?"
Oh, what the? How did you guess?
Look at her face. Oopsie, sorry.
Oh, Battler, you've got a keener eye for people than I thought.
What? I was just kidding, but they're actually going out?
Shh! The voice is too loud. Idiot. It looks like they're keeping it secret for now, okay? It'd be better if nobody found out about it, especially Aunt Eva.
I see. Love with a servant, huh? Yeah, but since when? I guess a lot can happen in 6 years. But yeah, Aniki's an amazing person, and Shannon-chan seems to be kind and brave, so they might make a pretty good match. Actually, 6 years ago, I remember taking notice of her just a little bit. I see, she really fits well with George Aniki. Nothing I can do about that. Goodbye, my fleeting first love of 6 years ago. Which means that the collection of embarrassing lines Shannon-chan had just held back on probably had something to do with that. Oh, I can't take it. How long have they been going out?
That depends on what you call going out, but I think it's been at least a year. But if you count the time they both had one-sided feelings, it will probably be several years.
I'm trying to find a comfortable position. Before I realized it, the two of them had separated themselves from the group and were walking down the beach, talking about something. I heard a weird noise, but it was just my wife moving her chair. They looked calm, and rather than a light relationship between two lovers, it looked like a more serious one, as though they were already engaged. Well, I mean, just wait one day. 6 years ago, huh? That's a long time. What did those 6 years mean to me? I've just gotten taller. It was just a waste of time. 6 years I spent obstinately fighting with my dad.
What about you, Battler? You got a girlfriend?
I wonder. There's a few girls that I have fun with, but there's no only one. What, are you some kind of player? Playing the ladies like they're your instrument? Please no, don't be that kind of guy. Because I'm just a kid. I think it's more fun to be noisy with a large group of people than being alone with one person. But yeah, I think he didn't mean it like that. Just means he has fun with lots of girls and doesn't have one he wants to have more with, I guess.
Oh, that's so you, Battler. But take your relationship with your female friends seriously. When girls get wrong impressions or form a group, it can be scary, you know. They might be having secret feuds over you behind your back, with people getting hurt or crying.
It's so weird. I think I remember getting the same bit of advice from one of the girls in my class just last week. What's this all about? Why can't everyone just have fun together? Do people really want to couple up that much?
It's probably because you've never found a partner like that, Battler. Well, you might run into someone sooner or later.
You've just got to wait patiently. What? It almost sounds like you've already found a partner like that. What about you? Have you gotten a boyfriend?
Huh? Me? No,
Come on, that reaction is so easy to understand. From the looks of it, there's some boy you're thinking about, but you haven't been able to confess to him yet, something like that. Oh, I wonder who that could be. No, that's not, look, there's a seagull. Shut up, who cares about that? If you're the one who brought up the subject, why are you yelling at me now? Women are creatures who always ask questions, and yet almost never answer them. What cruel creatures, seriously.
Well, I did try to confess once. Well, I struck out pretty badly.
Did you get an "am I sorry"?
No, well, my feelings were seriously one-sided and I didn't really know how to respond, I guess. It was like they didn't view me that way at all.
Well, I can understand that. You talk like a man, after all. If you don't act a bit more graceful, you won't be able to catch a boy's interest.
Is the way I speak really that bad?
Don't think so. Well, how you talk isn't everything. But when people like you, who usually have a rough style of speech, suddenly start working hard to talk more normally, well, there are guys out there who are hard'll skip a beat when they see how determined you are.
Is that really true? I see, yeah.
Jessica suddenly started talking more meekly, and then her face instantly went slightly red.
I see, even though her confession didn't go well, it looks like she still hasn't given up.
But still, I get it. After seeing how close George, Aniki, and Shannon-chan have gotten, I also kind of want to find a girlfriend. 6 years. 6 years of puberty and are pretty important, and they went by pretty fast. As the typhoon approached, the clouds grew steadily grayer, but even so, I had this really refreshing feeling. Maybe I'll try thinking more seriously about the opposite sex, more than just the size of their moves. Dude, Butler. By the way, it looks like George Aniki's going out with a servant. Don't tell me it's the same for you.
Why do you think that?
Come to think of it, that kid Kanon-kun who greeted us in the rose garden, you were covering for him pretty intensely, considering he was just a little awkward at talking.
No, that's not... now you're getting paranoid.
Then tell me just one thing. Right now, is the boy you're after within 1 kilometer of this spot?
Well, about that, I wonder...
I mean, she could just say it, why not? Oops. Kanon-kun was the only boy on this island who could possibly become her boyfriend, so judging by her reaction, I was right on. I didn't think of the Shiromiya family as a noble family, but love with a servant? I wouldn't have dreamed that 2 pairs of Romeo and Juliet would be right next to me. Aunt Eva would probably become an obstacle to George, Aniki, and Shannon-chan's love. If Aunt Eva ever learned that Shannon-chan was the partner of her only beloved son, she'd probably scream at her for trying to steal away her precious George. And the relationship between Jessica and Kanon-kun would probably be just as full of difficulties. Aunt Natsuhi was also very strict about that kind of thing. After all, Jessica's husband would probably become the head of the Shiromiya family in the future. Yeah, I don't think that they would accept Kanon to be the head at all. If that person had once been a servant working for the family, well, things would get complicated. Well, love is different for every person. As long as you're with someone who's fun to be around, does anything else matter? When 2 people pair up, they don't need anyone's permission as long as they accept each other. Worrying about what your parents or family will say means you've already lost. Don't forget that. You'd better not go out with someone with mixed feelings.
I can't believe you're saying something so philosophical sounding when you haven't even been in love.
Don't treat love like a matter of profit and loss. It's about heart. That's all I have to say. Well then, see you again. Have a nice day. You should have said the same with a horse again.
George Nissan, Shannon, listen. This guy, he said another one of those lines.
I didn't say anything. Well, don't make fun of me. Don't make fun of me.
Oh, I heard it. See you again.
What's so weird about that? Oh, so he said it in katakana English. See you again. For a while we forgot that the wind was getting stronger and played around on the beach. I grew a lot these past 6 years, and being able to celebrate my youth and meet with all of my cousins was truly refreshing. It was a bit late now, but I realized that I should have gotten back together with everyone a lot sooner and returned to the Shiromiya family. Yeah, I don't know. The coming days are going to show you that getting involved with the rest of the Shiromiya family is not always a good thing.
It sure is nice to have all the cousins together every once in a while.
I like it too. It's really fun when all the cousins get together.
That's right. We're already old enough. It's not like we couldn't meet each other when our parents aren't around. It might not be a bad idea to gather the cousins together and play every once in a while, especially Mortal Kombat. That's a good plan. Maybe we should set up something like that the next time we get a chance. Yeah, I agree. I hope we cousins can stay friends forever. Hey, if you make such a big deal of it, you almost make it sound like relatives usually end up hating each other. I mean, just look at your parents. George, Aniki, and Jessica laughed, but it felt just a little strained. Did I say something wrong? Judging by how our parents made quiet expressions and tired faces every once in a while during the boat ride and at the airport, maybe I should have kept that to myself. You're right. It's just like Jessica said. Let's always be friends to each other.
Me too. We're all friends.
That's right. Yeah. We'll always be together. We'll always be friends. Until some of us get brutally murdered. Once again. Man, we've been saying some pretty embarrassing stuff. I feel kind of awkward. It's nice having this very relaxing and friendship-filled scene after the horrible, brutal stuff yesterday. But I think it's very important. People are creatures who find it very hard to stay together, much less remain friends, unless they truly desire it. That's right. You really can take everyone being friendly for granted.
A witch I know said it.
Uh-oh.
Happiness won't be granted unless everyone believes in it.
That's true. Maybe some magic exists in the power of belief. If we all believe in that, I'm sure it will bring us happiness.
Alright, well, if we're doing embarrassing stuff already, let's all swear to believe in this together, okay?
Back in episode 1, you probably wanted to get to the gory stuff. I mean, I don't mind gory stuff, just if it's not as extremely disgusting as the stuff yesterday. Even then, I was not like completely, I don't know, completely put off the game by it or anything. I was just pretty shocked. But I mean, that was probably the point of the thing. Anyway, let's all swear to believe in this together, okay? That we'll always be friendly, that we'll always be happy. Like hell, we'll end up like our parents, as if we'd ever search for each other's weaknesses, going after grandfather's fortune. Don't say stuff like that. It kind of feels like you're just jinxing yourselves, and then it's gonna end up being like that. Like maybe in this episode, all the cousins are gonna be suspicious of each other. Okay, we'll always be friendly and happy. Let's all believe in that. When you already hear the wind rising in the background, that's kind of like a bad sign. No matter how much we cousins try to nostalgically have fun, dark clouds continue to approach Rokkenjima. I wonder if the typhoon will pass and let us see the clear skies before we leave this island. Who cares about what our parents are planning? Who cares about the inheritance and the honor of our old family? As youthful as we were renewing our old friendship, and we all believed together that we could find happiness. That's why I want this pair of days to end without anything weird happening, in peace and happiness and calmly. No, I don't just want them to end. Please let them end.
Let them end?
I knew it.
Damn it. Don't show up. Don't appear. Damn it. Sorry to keep you waiting. I finally prepared a new game. Come, let us begin this tale of tragedy. Come to me, winds, rain, typhoon. Cut this island off from the real world. Throw Rokkenjima into another realm, into the spirit world, into a world of fantasy.
And so the tale repeated for the third time. However, to an endless witch. What did it matter whether it was the first, second, or third time? It probably didn't matter at all. After all, this was a tale of fantasy, endlessly repeating until the match was settled. Would Battler surrender first, or would the witch?